34-year-old runner Neil Houghton off Portobello Heights, St. James. Reports were that about 10:30 p.m. residents of Montpelier heard explosions sounding like gunshots coming from a section of the community and alerted the police. Upon their arrival, the police said they found the body of a male slumped over the steering wheel of a gray 2010 Toyota Voxy motorcar with registration number 1273JG. No motive has yet been established for the shooting death, which comes hours after 37-year-old entertainer Jermaine Gordon, also called Ja Vibes, who was of a Barnett View, Mount Salem address, was shot and killed in its community, which is under a zone of special operations. Reports were that about 1:30 p.m. residents heard explosions and summoned the police. Upon their arrival, the police saw Gordon suffering from gunshot wounds. He was subsequently pronounced dead at the hospital. The sentencing of a man who pleaded guilty to multiple sexual offenses against the minors was pushed back to September when he appeared in the St. Mary Circuit Court on Wednesday. Sheridan Shepherd, who was charged in June 2021 with 6 counts of buggery, 5 counts of indecent assault, and 1 count of grievous sexual assault, was expected to be sentenced on Wednesday. However, according to the Gleaner Online, reports suggest that the sentencing did not take place after he changed his guilty plea, alleging that he was instructed to plead guilty. However, Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn dismissed that report and insisted that the guilty plea was still on record. The case is now set for September 27 in the Home Circuit Court. And meanwhile, the Westmoreland police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of 2 women and injury of more than 20 others when a public passenger vehicle in which they were traveling plunged down a hillside along the Seaford Town Main Road in Westmoreland on Wednesday. Reports from the Bethel Town Police were that the crash occurred shortly after 7 a.m. They indicated that the driver of the passenger bus, which plies the Berkshire District to Montego Bay route, lost control of the vehicle while traveling easterly and ran off the road. Dead is 23-year-old Yasmin Nikisha Carr, a nurse of Dundee District, and 32-year-old Melissa Ricketts, a housekeeper of Berkshire District, both in Westmoreland. Both women died on the spot. The others, including the driver, sustained injuries and were rushed to the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay, St. James, for treatment. 5 of them were considered to have life-threatening injuries. You're listening to Midday News on Suncity 104.9 FM. The time is now 7 minutes after 12. We now continue with regional news. At least the 32 candidates representing 6 political parties were nominated on Tuesday in a carnival-style atmosphere to contest St. Kitts and Nevis general elections on August 5 that incumbent Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris was forced to call 3 years ahead of the constitutional deadline. People's Labour Party PLP, led by Harris, as well as the main opposition St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party SKNLP and the People's Action Movement PAM, are contesting all 8 seats at the St. Kitts, while the Concerned Citizen Movement CCM and the Nevis Reformation Party NRP are contesting the 3 seats up for grabs on Nevis. The Moral Restoration Movement MRM has nominated 2 candidates in Nevis. The parties will contest 11 of the 15 seats in Parliament, with the other 4 legislators being nominated by the Governor General following the polls. Harris was forced to dissolve Parliament on May 10, paving the way for the general elections after legislators from PAM and the CCM, 2 members of the coalition Team Unity government, accounting for 7 of the 9 seats in the cabinet, filed a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister. Harris scuttled that move by firing the dissidents and indicated that he would announce a date for the polls within the stipulated 90-day period. In a video message, Harris urged voters to ensure that they secure their future with a growing economy. Opposition leader and former Prime Minister Dr. Denzel Douglas, speaking after being nominated to the contest, the constituency of St. Christopher 6 on behalf of the SKNLP, he told supporters that he was grateful for their vote after first being nominated to contest the seat 33 years ago. The election is taking place amid concerns being raised by the political parties that the measures put in place to stem the spread of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 have not been lifted, even though most, if not all, Caribbean countries have relaxed those measures. St. Kitts and Nevis still has in place the requirement for pre-travel authorization, even for nationals to enter the two-island federation. On the international scene, JetBlue Airways has agreed to buy Spirit Airlines for $3.8 billion and create the nation's fifth largest airline if the deal can win approval from antitrust regulators. The agreement on Thursday capped a month-long bidding war and arrives one day after Spirit's attempt to merge with fellow budget carrier Frontier Airlines fell apart. Spirit CEO Ted Christie was thrust into the awkward position of defending a sale to JetBlue after arguing vehemently against the deal, saying that antitrust regulators would never let it happen. JetBlue CEO Robin Hayes has argued all along that a larger JetBlue could create more competition for the four airlines that control about 80% of the U.S. market: American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines, and Southwest Airlines. Shares of Spirit, based in Miramar, Florida, rose 3.7% after the stock market opened Thursday morning. JetBlue and Spirit will continue to operate independently until the agreement is approved by regulators and Spirit shareholders with their separate loyalty programs and customer accounts. The companies said they expect to conclude the regulatory process and close the transaction no later than the first half of 2024. If that happens, the combined airline would be based in JetBlue's hometown of New York and led by Hayes. It would have a fleet of 458 planes. JetBlue said on Thursday that it would pay $33.50 per share in cash for Spirit, including a prepayment of $2.50 per share in cash payable once Spirit stockholders approve the transaction. There is also a ticketing fee of 10% per share each month starting in January 2023 through closing to compensate Spirit shareholders for any delay in winning regulatory approval. If the deal does not close due to antitrust reasons, JetBlue will pay Spirit a reverse breakup fee of $70 million and pay Spirit shareholders $400 million minus any amounts paid to the shareholders prior to termination. Stay tuned to Midday News on Suncity 104.9 FM. We'll have sports and the weather forecast right after this. We now continue with sports news. England's Dean Asher-Smith has withdrawn from the Commonwealth Games with a light hamstring strain. Asher-Smith pulled up with the injury while competing for Great Britain in the 4x1 meter relay final at the World Championships. She had won bronze in the 200 meter at the Championships just a few days before, and according to her, she needed a few days off to protect the minor problem. Asher-Smith came third in the 200 meters at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast 4 years ago. According to Asher-Smith in a post on her Instagram page, due to the short turnaround between the end of the World Athletics Championships and the start of the Commonwealth Games, she will have to withdraw. Asher-Smith spoke of her personal and physical pain after winning bronze in Oregon. She said the medal came after her Olympic campaign in 2021 was wrecked by a hamstring injury, followed by the death of her grandmother, who she was especially close to earlier this year. Asher-Smith will be hopeful of competing in the European Championships, which begin on August 15. In business news, motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective today, Thursday, July 28, according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. With both grades of gasoline down by 25 cents, 87 octane gasoline will be sold for $214.14 per liter. 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $219.16 per liter. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $229.51 per liter after a decrease of 25 cents, while ultra low sulfur diesel will be sold for $232.25 per liter, also down by 25 cents. Kerosene also increased in price by 25 cents and will be sold for $203.80 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $67.09 per liter, up by 15 cents. And butane petroleum will be sold for $75.56 per liter after an increase of 25 cents. Marketing companies and retailers are expected to add their respective markups to these announced prices. And now for your weather forecast. There is a trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across the island over the next few days. Expect scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms